Welcome to Hack, the Real Size podcast with Heather, Ashley, and myself, Keira. And today's very special guest is a very talented stage and screen actor, Mr. Andrew Rothney, who's best known for his work on The Victim, Catherine the Great, and most recently, Spanish Princess. And when he's not teaching his wealth, and when he's not acting, he's teaching his wealth of knowledge to people like us with the Actors Community online classes. So thank you very much for joining us, Andrew.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Good. Everything going all right with you at the moment?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you've heard, but there is a pandemic. So I'm one of the first. I'm just not going out. It'll catch on.
Yeah, fine. It's a little bit shit, but I'm pretty sure everybody else is going to get the idea.
I think so. It's quite unimaginative, but I think it'll catch on. I think he's got a good thing going, and let's just lock down together.
Let's just stay in and drink decaf tea with oat milk and be super rock and roll.
It's the way, and go to bed soon, and then get up.
Not too soon, I hope.
But yeah, life has narrowed itself down into sort of necessities, and I've really, in a lot of ways, really enjoyed this lockdown mentality. I definitely enjoyed the first lockdown more because I think it was the novelty of I don't have to do anything,
and the
I don't
sun.
have to be anywhere. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to, responsibilities, but nothing pressing. And now I want responsibilities.
It's dragging on a bit now, isn't it?
Oh, it's got a bit boring now. But I'm good, thank you. I'm good.
Good.
How are you? How are you three? You good? Good? Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, we're tier 3. We've just moved into tier 3 as of, I guess, midnight tonight. So I can still work, so that's good, but we can't really do anything else. But then I've not really done anything for months anyway, so it's not a huge difference to me.
No. And tiers don't really exist in America. Well, physical tiers.
They're all just open.
Not in the South. It's just, we just go about our business. Like,
yeah,
it's normal.
Absolutely.
Fine.
Like Ross and Friends. I'm fine. I'm fine.
Yeah.
I don't know what. It's a little squeaky.
Random. I don't watch Friends.
Wow.
I know. We're probably gonna lose some people on that one, but
You might lose me on that one.
I don't think I've ever watched a complete episode of Friends or ever seen it.
One when no one's ready. Love that one.
I think that, Ashley, you're quite a rarity in that. I think you should be proud of that because Friends, because Friends is such a seminal piece of TV, and for some reason, maybe it wasn't on your planet, Ashley, but it was a big deal. And I think, honestly, I sound facetious, but I'm not. I think it's quite a remarkable thing. Has everyone seen the Shawshank Redemption?
Yes.
Right, good. Because if you'd said you hadn't seen that, then I would definitely think you were from another planet. Then I'm like, nah.
You'd be like, leave meeting.
Oh, yeah.
The prison that they filmed it at is actually not too far from where we live.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's I think an hour away, and you can go take tours. And
where is that again?
well, if you don't ask me the exact location, let me Google it real quick. I know it's an hour because there's signs. When we go to my father-in-law's, there's always signs like "Stop here and come visit."
And see Shawshank.
Yeah. Where we crawled through the shit tunnel.
Yeah.
Don't ruin it. Who's not seen it?
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
It's in Mansfield, Ohio, so it's an hour away.
Mansfield, okay, great.
If you're ever, in Ohio, just want to stop.
I'm going to Shawshank. Thank you.
I will get on with my questions for Andrew. So these are sort of quick fire questions. You don't have to think too much about them. Yeah. Have you thought about your little quirk that not many people know?
Yeah. Do you want to hear it? Oh, well, I've got a few things. It's more like kind of phobias I have. All people know. For instance, I have a phobia of plug holes.
What is it?
In the sink.
Buckets.
Sink hole.
Oh, as in sinks.
In a bath.
What did you call them?
Plug hole. A plug hole.
Okay.
What do you call it?
What would you call it?
A drain?
Right,
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
So, but the drain in the bath,
Okay.
I've always had a kind of phobia about them because one, when I was younger, I thought I could get sucked into it.
hmm
Two, I'm always afraid a spider is going to be waiting, because I think I saw Arachnophobia too young,
Mm.
and I'm not really I don't have arachnophobia as such. I mean, I wouldn't want a tarantula.
Arachno awareness.
Yes,
Healthy respect.
I'm aware of spiders, but I respect the spider.
Mm.
So the drain hole, plug hole, if you will, even in like communal showers, I hate communal showers. I find that the floor really gritty, and open water. I hate open water because of Jaws.
Yes, I'm there with you.
Yeah.
Again, watched these films too young, and I love swimming, but even in swimming pools, I have a phobia that there's a shark in here.
Mm.
I get that.
I get the open water. I don't like the ocean. Like I'll put my feet in and then that's about it. I don't go swimming in the ocean,
Yeah, I
but
have to go where it's like the Caribbean, where you can see through the water. Like that's where I go. If I can't see through, I'm like, nah, I'm good.
I mean, I think that's quite a common thing, but especially swimming pools. There was I think, again, films. There's a James Bond film where there's a pool, and the guy presses a button and shark come through the gate, the grate, and eat a
The
person.
Moonraker?
Probably Moonraker.
Is that the one with Jaws, the metal teeth guy?
Yeah, I think Jaws is in 2 films. Sorry, my trivia's coming out. He's in 2, but I can't remember which one. But it definitely happened in a James Bond film where the sharks come out of a grate, and yeah, traumatizing. So my phobias are based around bad parenting.
That's brilliant. Interestingly, one of my questions was going to be, is there any part of a movie, a scene from a movie that scarred you as a kid? And mine was a scene in Jaws, which has scarred me. So this is brilliant. You've already preempted it.
Yeah, well, I think most things when I was young scarred me. But yeah, that's Jaws. I think it's what you can't see. Like that first start scene when she's in the water and you can't see it. It's just horrendous.
And did you know they actually broke her leg in that scene?
Yeah, because they're pulling so hard.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so her screams give it an extra sort of like a real disturbing edge to it. So yeah, Jaws is probably one of the most influentially scarring films of my life, and I absolutely love it. I've seen it a million times. It's such a great film. Like Spielberg, honestly, or Spielberg. I don't know why I said it like that. Spielberg on it. He in that film especially, you know, I think that's his first sort of feature, and he's just playing around with character and setting the scene so well and building up these relationships, because it's not really about a shark. It's actually about a guy who hates the water, who's come from New York, who is now the chief roadie of this Rhode Island fishing town, sea town. He's totally out of his depth.
Metaphor.
Metaphor for life. Anyway, sorry, I went off a tangent.
So then, what is the best and worst thing of being on set?
Okay. The best and worst thing about being on a set. The worst thing, I think, is the waiting around, and you're at the mercy of so many things, and the actor is always sort of the last thing. The actor is the last point before cameras roll, and you're kind of expected to be completely on it, and you've been waiting in a trailer for 8 hours. Now you get pampered, you get food, and you get coffee, and you get taken care of, and people are very nice to you. But there's a sort of you lose your autonomy, you kind of get shepherded from one point to the other. And so I think the worst part of filming is the the infantilizing of actors. You kind of lose your own independence, and that's also the best thing. No, and the best thing, I think, is when when all the work you've done pays off in a moment, or there's a massive scene happening and you're part of it and it's all coming together and it feels like real life. Or there's in The Spanish Princess, there's a scene in episode 2, the Battle of Flodden, and that scene, although it's been heavily edited, we didn't have a lot of time. We only had like 2 takes because we were losing light, and we had kind of fought to be in that scene because we weren't really in it fighting. And I thought, and I don't know who it was. I think it might be Mark or one of the other actors who had said, "Well, you kind of need us in this because we're before the battle and we're there at the end of the battle, so have us in it." So we choreographed the fight scene with a couple of hours with a great stunt crew, and we just did it with 2 takes, and it was just electric because it's this massive pitched battle in the mud with the mist rolling in. Mark Rowley, one of my good friends and another coach, well, he is the actors community really, he's just going mental on set in the moment, but choreographed as well. It was brilliant to watch him. And so those moments of real magic make up for all the kind of waiting around. And being an actor on set is great. It really is. It's just our experience is very different to someone who is like on crew. Because someone who's on crew works for 24 hours a day, every day. Actors work 20 minutes, if that. It's just a different thing. That's all I'd say.
Ah, that's beautiful though. Yeah. The idea of being part of something magical is lovely.
Absolutely, yeah.
Love it. So, next one. Who was on your bedroom wall when you were a teenager?
Oh, Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Oh, good one.
Nice.
Of the Vampire Slayer. Yeah. I loved her. And probably Keanu Reeves from
Point Break or Speed?
Matrix, probably.
Matrix?
Yeah, or, he's amazing. He's beautiful in Point Break. Beautiful man. But I've always been I'm a big fan of Big K. Reeves. He's he's great. He's just consummate hard worker. He brings a sense of humility and hard work that it's only got through experience. And who else did I have? Oh, those are the only people coming to mind actually. Probably I had like bands like Red Hot Chili Peppers, etc. But Sarah Michelle Gellar is the one that springs to mind.
What was the worst part of your wardrobe on The Spanish Princess?
Fake beards.
Was it not your real beard?
No, it was a great look. It was a great wig, beard, costume. Period drama is just like, it's brilliant to watch. Like for the audience, it's dreadful for everyone involved because you can't get it wet, you can't get it muddy, you can't get it bloody. It takes ages to get in it. You've got to sit in it for 8 hours. The wigs are okay. Like the guys generally have an easier time as per. The wigs take about 45 minutes to get in, and once they're on, you forget. And all the guys love having long hair. And they start like doing, and they start fantasizing about having long hair. I did. A fake beard though, there's no pleasure in that because they glue it. You got to shave first, and what I had to do is I had to shave everything, but leave this so it would blend in. So you walk around for 2 days with this neck beard thing.
Looking ridiculous.
And I had a self-tape to do as well. I remember I had to do a tape for...
Were you like this the whole time?
Or wearing a turtleneck?
Just give me like massive forehead the whole time.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Where? You know, so it was a lot of forehead acting, but the fake beard, they glue you in, and round the mouth, it just changes the way you speak. So you're talking like this all the time, and it'll come off. So I think the fake beard is up there, or got something with tassels. It's like 40 minutes of tasseling. So I'd say tassels and fake beards are the worst thing.
They sound pretty horrendous.
Yeah.
Not good at all.
Do with that. I'd rather just have my own beard, but it's not practical sometimes. Timing is off. And
Oh yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I'd never really thought about that, to be honest. But
well,
you know,
yeah. Well, sometimes they shoot a scene. You know, they'll shoot the same like episode, but over a period of 4-5 weeks, and you've shot other episodes in between that. So sometimes you're shooting one episode, like the start of episode 5 in the morning and the end of episode 3 at night. So you've got to keep a timeline of how old you are, what's happened to you, to make you be the way you are. And same with, you know, facial hair. I guess what it's been through. The bank.
So what do you think in 40 years that people are going to be nostalgic for?
Hugging each other.
No. Oh, that's so depressing. But
40 years time, I think people, I do think, I feel like technology will become so integrated into our lives that it will be hard to separate from it. That doesn't mean to sound so doom and gloom, but I think our generation, we were at the cusp of not having technology everywhere. We're now at that point, and in 40 years' time, I think it'll be so ingrained in us. There'll be implants. There'll be, you know, I think technology will, unless it's curbed or there's something happens like a cataclysmic event that sets us back.
like Skynet.
Yeah, like Skynet. I think AI or, you know, microchips, implants, I think will be hooked up, and I think people will be nostalgic for the time where we could switch the phone off.
Yeah.
Because I've started a couple of days now putting the phone, not being in the same room as my phone, just getting away from it all, and it helped. I don't think maybe in 40 years' time we'll have that option.
Oh, sad, isn't it?
Yeah, I am quite melancholic. Sorry.
Bring back my Nokia 3210.
I know, I was thinking, but you know, you can't. The problem is that social pressure is you can't go for those old phones again because everyone thinks that you're a hipster.
They've
like,
ruined it.
You think you're better than us?
With your shit phone. On a completely different subject then, if animals could talk, which animal would be the rudest?
Animals could talk, which animal would be the rudest? Maybe a honey badger.
Because honey badger don't care.
It doesn't give a shit, no. I think a honey badger, or I think dolphins. I think dolphins are too intelligent.
Apparently they're real assholes, and like marine biologists all hate them.
Oh, I just saw a story how dolphins will intentionally agitate pufferfish to make them blow up, and then they like bounce them around with their nose.
Yeah.
I'm like, I love that animal.
Yeah. Dolphins, they're conceited. They know how intelligent they are, and they're not afraid to show it. I think a dolphin probably would be. Dolphins are like the arsehole of the sea.
Yes. Apparently they are. I love that. I hadn't even thought of that.
But yeah, let's go with that. I'm going to get a knock at my door from a dolphin and Jeff Bezos in a minute. Yeah.
So what is the most embarrassing thing you've ever worn? It could be from a set, or it could just be when you're drunk on a Saturday night with your mates.
Most embarrassing thing I've ever worn. Well, I've got a few things. Right. So the one thing I was going to say was it was worn this year, but it was on a project, and I'd love to talk about it. I don't think I can. But next time, I will talk about it. And if it comes out, you'll see it and go, I can see what he's talking about. It was horrendous. Anyway, what's embarrassing? Oh, yeah, right. So I did a show in drama school in third year, and it was about, it's called Gilgamesh, and it's an epic poem, and it's kind of the lines of Beowulf.
Mhm.
It predates Beowulf by quite a long time. It's probably the first written piece of work ever.
Yeah.
Set in ancient Mesopotamia, and I played a forest man called Keira, and basically the costume was skin-coloured underwear. That's it.
Oh, okay. I was like waiting for more, but okay.
I mean, it got worse because they put a helmet with horns and like a kilt on me. It was ridiculous. It was awful. My dad still can't look me in the eye, but I think that was pretty low. But the thing was that I was in drama school at the time, so I was just up for the challenge. But no one needed to see that.
Please tell me you've got photos or like a video or...
Yeah, you can find, if you look up Gilgamesh.
So you're editing that in, a photo into this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gilgamesh, and I think it's RSAMD, which is the drama school I did go to, and it's changed to the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland. Look, that show, it was a disaster. I loved it, and we still laugh about it, but it was not. It was not the best way to dive into the industry, because that in your third year, that sort of you're being kind of, your toes being dipped into the waters. But it was awful, and we got reviewed and we got like 2 stars, and it was just so unfair because we're not in charge of this. We're not professional actors. And
that's how you upsell yourself. You go, I learned everything I'm not supposed to do in that show.
100%,
so now you know.
100%. I think if all the failures or all the things that went wrong are infinitely more useful than your successes, whatever they are. I think your successes are your failures, to be honest. If you've got through your failures, that's such a learning curve.
Well, at least you managed to take flesh-coloured undergarments on display and turn it into a positive, so that's pretty good. What movie do you think would be even better if you turned it into a musical?
I don't really like musicals. That's another thing. I think I only like West Side Story, and that's about it. I cannot get into musicals, and I tried, and I've been in musicals, but I think
You've hated every second.
I think for some reason Disney, The Lion King, of course, is great and stuff, but like live action, I really struggle, and I know and that's no disrespect to musical theatre actors or people who work in musical theatre. I find it really difficult to watch something and then someone breaks into song about how they feel.
My husband's the same. He's like, why are they singing again?
Well, I get really embarrassed. And I think that's a problem. And musical theatre actors are so talented, and to be able to sing and act and dance to their standard is amazing. And it's not them, it's just the form. Sometimes I just can't, I kind of cringe a bit. But I think Apocalypse Now would make an excellent musical.
Nice. That's a good one. I was thinking something like that, or The Godfather, or
You're an errand boy, that sort of thing. Look, musicals, I think they are great. It's just, for me, I can't.
I think Forrest Gump would be a great musical.
Oh, it would be, actually.
Lieutenant Dan, he could have his singing part.
What's his love interest?
Jenny.
Jenny. Oh, yeah. Just him chasing Jenny around the world. She's not interested. Yeah. No, I think Forrest Gump, Apocalypse Now, Batman. um,
Well, thank you very much for answering my ridiculous questions. It's been so lovely, like delving into more of the personality.
yeah.
Fantastic. Heather is going to take the next bit, so she'll be slightly more sensible than me. No,
I know I'm not nearly as fun as Keira. She gets
lies.
Can't wait.
No, so we would love to know, like, what got you into acting. I mean, was it something that when you were younger you realized it was what you wanted to do, or was it something that you fell into later on?
It was the only thing I could do reasonably well, and I growing up, I always wanted to dance or express myself. And the funny thing is, talking about musicals, is that I used to dance to Tina Turner and Meatloaf and being theatrical and dramatic. And I think maybe, not to get too psychological on me, but I think maybe my kind of distancing from musicals is actually because I see a lot of myself, because musicals really are about a lot of wonder. They're about a lot of innocence and a lot of exposing ourselves. And I think I'm kind of in awe of musical theatre actors who do that, because they really do expose themselves to our mercy. And so I think I kind of missed that in myself. When I was a child, I used to dance to Queen and Meatloaf and stuff. And so from a young age, I just had to do it. I had to express myself. And I'm not very academic, or I wasn't very academic in school. And drama and music were the only things that I fell into, and it was not hard work. And yeah, it was just a natural progression, really. It wasn't really a choice either. It wasn't, I'm going to be an actor. It was just kind of with the nourishment of teachers at my school, my high school in particular, and Bowness Academy, big shout out, and my parents, who were very supportive. My dad didn't really get it at first, but I think once he saw how serious I was about it, he understood, and they've always been the number one fans. And so yeah, it was kind of a natural progression of wanting to express yourself from a young age, for it to being in school shows, a lot of musicals like West Side Story and Fame and Grease. I actually quite like musicals when I look back.
Who did you play in Grease?
Oh, I played who's the beauty school dropout guy, the kind of angel.
Oh yeah.
I did him. I played one of the gang, and yeah, that was a lot of fun. And I did Fame. I played the acting teacher, but in fourth year, so I was like 15. They got me to play Tony in West Side Story, and I mean that's like horrendously hard. I mean, we're listening to Maria on the radio a couple of days ago, and it's so hard. And they made me do that at 15. Couldn't do it then. So child abuse. Yeah, I did a lot of musicals, and it was kind of a natural. Me applying for drama schools was the natural step for me after that.
Did you go straight into drama school after high school?
So I was 17, and I had applied to the then RSAMD, now the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland. I applied there when I was 17, didn't get past the first round, rightly so. It was horrendous. So I had applied to a 2-year course at what was then known, God, I'm showing these old bones. It was Edinburgh Telford College. So it was a 2-year course, and I did that, and I applied to RSAMD again, got to the third and final round, then got a letter saying didn't get in. Right, okay. So I took a year out, and I tried to work as an actor, doing touring shows, tiny little budgets, no agent or anything, just doing stuff, and quit my job and was working as a tour guide in Edinburgh, doing the ghost kind of history tours, and then applied in 2008 for the RSAMD for the third time, and a few other schools, one in school in New York and one school in London. And I got into the school in New York and I got into RSAMD, and I had to make a choice. And Glasgow was that school just felt right to me. So I got in when I was 20, turning 21. So 4 years of kind of trying to get into the drama school.
And then did you get an agent while you were in drama school, or was it when you graduated?
Kind of when I graduated, yeah. When I graduated, so you do the showcase,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really tense, and you do your pieces, and all the agents come see you in London, because you're from up in Scotland. You don't get as much contact with the industry as London drama schools do, which makes sense. So it's a bit more of an event for the Glasgow crowd to come down, because the London industry hadn't seen you, so they're probably more interested in a way, but there's more pressure on you. So I did a showcase, and it's awful, right? Because so you're after you've done the show, and you're all pals, you're all friends, and then you're in the pub, and everyone's got their phone on the table, waiting for the phone to ring, right? Mm-hmm. And some people's phones rang, some people don't ring, and some people whose phones don't ring could be some of the strongest actors in the year. That's how brutal this industry is that it doesn't really account for anything. So I got a few meetings, but it was weird. Like, I think I came off too desperate or not sure of myself, because I had a couple of meetings and they all fell through. So I was kind of left not with many options. However, I signed up with an agency in Scotland who were brilliant. They, for 3.5 years after I graduated, they were so lovely and supported me. And then I got an opportunity, and agencies changed. And so I've been with the same agent since about 6 years now. But it's a different story for everyone, but mm-hmm. Mine was sort of a kind of a progression of sorts, and just a bit of luck and a bit of timing.
I have a question. Sorry, I'm jumping, Heather. Just about how you were rejected a couple of times and how you didn't get the agent on the first time.
Bring that way, didn't you?
Steady on.
I'm gonna go get that whiskey now.
How did you deal with that? What kept you, I guess? Because I've asked you before, whenever you're feeling disconnected or down, how did you find that passion to say, no, I'm really going to do this. This is going to be what I'm going to do.
I think that's a good question. I think, and it's hard to answer because it's always in retrospect or hindsight where you go, I knew I had it in me. But I think at the time, I remember there was a time where I was sitting in my flat with my flatmate, who I'd always thought was a very talented actor. We're good friends. He and 2 other friends were there who were all in our year. And the 3 of them were signed with, I'd say, the best agents in London you could get asked for. And I had no agent at all. And it was a real isolating moment because they're all excited about it. And in your mind, it becomes this thing of, oh, there's a gulf between us now. But it's not real. But that gulf is your worth in the eyes of the industry. Oh, they're with Curtis Brown, they're with Independent, they're with United, and who are you? And that's a weird thing because for 3 years it was just about the work. Now it's about something else, this external thing. And that was tough. I think it's just the will. I think it's the will to just succeed. But I'm not going to lie. Like, I've had help though. Like, what really turned my life around was seeing a life coach. I think a couple of years after drama school, it was exceptionally difficult because I didn't have many prospects, didn't have any money. You're just working in shows which you love but don't pay the bills. And I was really struggling. And I was struggling with resentment, struggling with the world was against me. And the life coach, she turned it around for me and helping me see that the world is not my problem. I'm my own problem. No one owes me anything, and you got to actually make an effort to be happy for people, because it's actually not about you. It's your ego and what you think you're owed. I'm owed nothing. I'm lucky to be able to even have these options. I know that doesn't help when you're in a really low place to think, oh, I should be grateful. It's just that thing of just get up and do it anyway. I'm I think when we're at our lowest, it sometimes it's at those times where you have to push yourself to go, for instance, for a run. Those days where you're so warm and cozy and it's miserable out there. Just get up and do it, because that is a time where you'll look back and go, I'm a badass. I can do this. Look, I didn't want to do it. That's the hardest time. Not when you want to do something. I wanted to, I didn't want to do, sometimes you just want to do the hard work. And actually, that's when it's most rewarding. That's when the stuff that was hard, those shows that were just so painful to be in, you look back and go, wow, yeah, that was great. Because I don't really remember the good stuff or the easy jobs. Don't remember that. So I think dealing with rejection is you just got to frame it. You've got to frame it the way, you've got to frame it and be honest with yourself and go, why didn't I get that? And it's just luck. It's just the way it is. I think there's a saying that's helped me. My brother says to me, my younger brother, it's from Trailer Park Boys, I think, and he'll go, fucking way she goes. And it's absolutely right. There's no rhyme or reason, and one more thing, Bryan Cranston, I have to put up there as well, with people whose influence and advice changed my life. It's just an interview he was given on the Emmys, and he talks about another like a forum or something, and he says, it's not your job to get the job, it's your job to do the work. And so when you go in with that attitude of wanting or needing something, you give up your power and you give that energy to the person, and they don't want that. They don't want to be the answer to your prayers. That's too much responsibility. You've got to go, this is my work, and here it is. And they take it and they go, that's great. That's exactly what we're looking for. Or they go, that's great. It's not going to work out. That's fine. And the job was never mine to begin with. So when someone else gets the job that you were up for, that's great. It's their job. It's just framing it. It's good to be competitive, and it's good to be ambitious, and it's good to have drive, but you've also got to have a bit of humility and realise, it's a job and it's work, but it can't be your whole thing. It can't be your whole life, because, your life is everything. And I think that's a lesson that I had to learn. So dealing with rejection is just about framing, and it's just about how you view things. And it's good to take a breath, and also good to write down like a gratitude list sometimes. 10 things you're grateful for. And you'll be surprised, like the simplest thing of, I woke up this morning. I can walk. I can eat. I can smell, I can taste, those things. Like, so what? You didn't get a job. It doesn't matter.
And I'm glad you brought up auditioning. And we were curious, you've been on some bigger shows. So how has the audition process for like Outlander or Spanish Princess been compared to, like your smaller roles that you've gotten?
Yeah, I think it's funny. Catherine the Great, I did 2 self-tapes for that. One was in Glasgow, one was in Italy when I was on holiday. And then I got the job. The Spanish Princess, I had a meeting. I was doing a show at the time, and then I did they were interested, but it took a while, and then they got me to send another tape. And I taped for another role. I auditioned for another role at the start, and they changed it. So it depends. I think what's interesting is it's actually where you're at in your life that make a big difference. So Spanish Princess, I was already doing another job at the time. I was doing Small Island. And when you've got another job, you're just at ease. Now, it's not being arrogant. It's just you've got a bit more power. Mm-hmm. You've got a bit more cachet. You're busy. You're in a show, and people really like the show. Thank God. But you're in this position of ownership of yourself that you can come into a room and go, "Yeah, cool. No, I'm working. Yeah, how are you? Oh, no, I'm good. Thanks. I'm doing this. Let's do it. Cool." Rather than where I live in Glasgow, it's a 4-hour train journey down. You do it. You're in for 5 minutes, and then you're back up the road in one day. And that's hard when you're going down there with that energy and there's nothing else. You're unemployed until the end of time. There has to be a difference between Andy who walks in, who's doing a show at the National, to Andy who's spent 4.5 hours on the train. Mm-hmm. Now, the trick is you've got to have the same attitude. You've got to bring in the same energy. And I try and imagine it's like, you want to imagine you're in a pub with them. Like after a hard day, if you want to have a drink or go for a coffee or something, you want to be how you'd be there. So I try and not be over familiar, because that's a bit off-putting, but you just want to be relaxed because you're here to solve a problem. They've got a problem. They need someone to fill this role. You could be the answer to that problem. I've done this work. Here it is. What's interesting is that self-taping, I love self-taping because it immediately, people love being in the room. I love being in the room, but especially if you've got a long way to travel. You get down 4-hour train journey and you meet one person and a very lovely camera or a casting assistant and a camera, and that's it. And they're thinking, I could have just done this at home. Mm-hmm. And the good thing about COVID, if there is a good thing, is I think that will become the norm, is that they'll just want self-tapes. Mm-hmm. Hopefully that doesn't impact other people, their jobs, but for an actor's point of view, it's really, really useful.
Well, it seems like a lot of British actors go into like theater and some transition over into film. Like, do you have a preference of one over the other?
Theatre. And if theatre paid the way TV does, everyone would do theatre. No, I think theatre definitely is just an amazing experience. I do think it's the actor's medium in a lot of ways. I feel like we've got a bit more control, and I feel like the director in theatre will shape it and give us the vision and the drive, and we'll have that outside view and what the audience will see. And then once we've got that, they go, and they'll come back in and out, but they give us that freedom. Of course, they keep it the same, structure. TV though, it's not an actor's medium. I mean, we're the last thing before action, and so I love film acting. You don't get to do enough of it because you 20, 30 seconds, 1 minute scenes, and that's it, and it's gone. It's forever. And you thought, I didn't do that. That was rubbish. I had my eye there. I couldn't. I'd pretend I was really interested. Just my eye then. So I think both have their merits, but my preference is theatre. It's just now it's a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
So,
sorry, go ahead.
No, I just think that theatre is going to take a back seat for a long time. It's a real shame, but it's always been underfunded, but it's been around forever. So it'll find a way. It's just we have to adapt. But film acting is brilliant as well. I mean, the scale and the imagination that goes into film acting is just amazing. And it's just, you grow up with the theatre. You grow up watching theatre and the magic of pantomimes or the magic of seeing plays for the first time. There's nothing like it. Nothing like it. So, yeah.
So character-wise, what kind of character do you like playing the best? Because when I watched Spanish Princess, I was like, oh, and then I was like, oh, he's such a douchebag. Like, what is it? Do you enjoy playing characters that are different than what you actually are? Or is that like how you actually are?
Nice version of
bastard. I am. No, yeah, it's a tough one because what's funny is watching the Spanish Princess back, I never felt like when I was in those scenes, I'm not being a douchebag. I'm not like that. The funny thing, that's what's great about it, is that I felt in the world that we're in, entirely justified, with some regret, like in the stuff with the kids and stuff, like giving the kids over. But that's a survival thing, like that. And in that world, everyone would do the same thing. And I think I can see it now and go, oh, Angus, what are you doing? And I think, Small Island, I played a character who was quite hard, to like, and that's fine. I think it's probably a vanity thing for me that wants to be the hero. But, you have to go, that could be quite boring, actually, because you want to have a bit of grit to you. You want to have a bit of three-dimensional angst or darkness. And I always never be afraid to be ugly to the audience, Like, I think that makes it really interesting. So I really like playing those sort of characters. I've played a lot of characters that are quite psychologically damaged, and although I don't enjoy playing that because it's a serious thing and you've got to take real care about that, there is a bit of responsibility and there's a humanity there. I mean, with Angus there's a humanity, and in Small Island, character I played, Bernard, he says horrendous things, and it's trying to get into the skin of someone who says those things and explain them. It's always explaining them. It's never. And you can't judge a character either. Like, I can't judge Angus. I can't judge Bernard. I can't judge anyone, because you've got to see it from their point of view. Because if you apologised for your character, that robs the audience to do that to hate you or to love you or to understand you but not agree with you. And I think. And I'm honest, like, it's sometimes I struggle getting out of my own way. You want to be loved, you want to be the hero, or you want to, I think that's a constant thing. We all want, I think actors generally, in some way, want adulation or want the acceptance sometimes. And actually, you've got to give it to the audience. You can't, acting generally isn't for you, You're giving it to the audience. You're part of the story, and you've got to surrender yourself to that. I know that sounds really pretentious, but I feel like this whole lockdown situation is you know, I've had to kind of look at my own process, and I've had to look at my own attitude to acting and the work. And I think that's a really big thing, is trying to give it to the audience rather than take it for yourself.
So it kind of goes into the questions that I like to ask is like, how do you mentally prepare for your roles? You know, you talked a little bit about your self-tapes and how you prefer those, but you do a lot of period pieces. I did some research on you, and I saw that you did a film called Blackbird, which I was very, very interested in, and I really, really wanted to watch it, and it's like hidden. I cannot find it anywhere.
Yeah, we all Googled like where to watch it, and there's like
nowhere. But it looked amazing, and I just wondered how you prepared for that role compared to your period pieces. Obviously, you do a lot of research on those, but rituals. What kind of things do you do?
So Blackbird, it's a shame that you can't find it, because you may be able to get it on Amazon or something. Or
right.
It must have, it's sold out. Blackbird was I was still at drama school at the time, so I was in.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I was finishing drama school, my third year, and there was this advert out on the email saying, "Would you like to get some experience being a lead role in a feature film? Then you have to audition." And
maybe,
and I did that, and it was amazing. That was one of the hardest things I've ever done, because it was 5 weeks. We did 2 years, but it was always at the same time of year, so we had to come back to do reshoots. But mentally prepare. So the character, Rowan, he is an outsider who is obsessed with collecting and collating items from the past and songs. So he sees himself as a bit of a bard, collector of songs. And so the director, Jamie Chambers, he really helped immerse me in the world of Scottish folklore, songs, collecting, being a bit of a magpie, really. And I think it was just building on the character's history, and also being a bit more free with it. Like, it was quite a lot of it was improvised, or loosely improvised around the script, and that was quite a challenge. But it was just so like a baptism of fire, really, because I was in 90% of the film, and that's like 5 weeks, and you're kind of getting 4 hours sleep, because it's this low budget indie and everyone's just doing it for the love of it. So I think looking back on it, there's more I would have done. Like, there's different prep I would have done, and I probably wouldn't have put myself through what I put myself through, because I would know better. But it's just about your relationships with people, having that knowledge, and then acting in the moment with the scene, because you've got all that history with the person, and so you can just trust it. And I think that's what I would have brought more to it, actually. I love the film. I'm very proud of it, because it's kind of the first thing I did out of drama school, and I got to travel the world with it. I went to North Carolina, of all places. I went to Goldboro. I did a little film festival there. I went to Berlin, or went to Germany. I went to Heidelberg and Mannheim film festivals. It premiered at the Edinburgh International Film Festival, so I'm really proud of it. And I got to meet some really firm friends and some amazing characters, some people who are immersed in the Scottish folklore and Scottish singing tradition. And I got to be in the same room with them and learn their songs, and magical.
And then you were also in the James plays that were very popular. How did you prepare for that role? I mean, I know we talked a little bit about how you kind of go in through the script and you try to bring in your similarities and things like that, but how do you do that for a play?
So first off, you've got the script, and so you write down your relationships with the other characters, the relationship to you, what you say about each other, that gives you clues and hints. What does your character do in the play? Because that will, you know, it's actually generally what characters do in plays that make them who they are. You know, your actions speak louder than words, etc. The great thing about historical plays or historical fiction or drama is that you can actually visit the places that these characters have been in. So I'm playing James II of Scotland. So this is in the 1400s. And I got to visit Edinburgh. I went to visit Edinburgh Castle, where he lived, Stirling Castle, where he lived, and being in the rooms where it's happened, that happens in the play. And you got to just experience that, have that kind of tactile feel of it. So I do that. I create, not so much anymore, but I used to create like a soundboard, like a collection of songs or music. It would help me kind of chart a character's course. Don't really do that anymore because I feel like that's more of a, don't do it anymore. It's not been working really because of COVID, but I'm trying not to do that as much anymore because I feel like it has a kind of an end result. Like the emotion, music's very emotive, and so I'm putting an emotion onto something. And I feel like that's a bit dangerous because you're just emoting. But I did that, you know, because that's what had worked for me in the past. And you know, I investigated emotional PTSD because that character in the play has that, and investigated what that manifests itself in, and nightmares and, you know, trauma. And yeah, you know, I did the first tour in 2014 and then the second tour in 2016, and those plays were just amazing because you had 3 shows a day, and you charted the course of 3 kings and their, you know, the women behind them who were running the show a lot of the time, and amazing. A lot, and you know, and amazing for all the hard stuff that happened. Amazing for all the good stuff, you know.
I saw an interview, and tell me if I quote this wrong, but did you not do a show that was like 11 hours? How do you sustain doing 11 hours of just acting?
Yeah, well, so you play different. I got to play 3 different roles. And they were all so different. So, you know, that was, and each role had different, you know, themes for me and different mood boards, etc. And so I had it lucky because I could really, you know, vary it. I guess it's just, you're in it, and it's great. The feeling, the adrenaline, honestly. The adrenaline of, and every play was different in its style. So, yeah, I definitely do it again.
Yeah,
it was a phenomenal experience. Finished in Toronto. The last James play trilogy in Toronto, and I think bowing on that last night on the 11th hour is just quite an experience that you can't really forget. You know.
Yeah. Well, at the end of our podcast, unless there's any, we leave it up to how you would like to end it, so we can talk about any future projects that you have, anywhere, you know, like social media, if you'd like to have that out there.
I don't have much to say apart from it's just been lovely to chat with you 3, and thanks for taking the time and listening to me ramble on.
Really, really appreciate you taking your time and talking to us. All right, thanks.
Thank you.